What is up, y'all? This is Alex from Alex PC Tech again, back at you with another video, and this is part 2 of our project EVA. This is now we'll be covering the case painting. So the first thing that I did was wash all of the parts that we're gonna be painting thoroughly with water. Then after that, we're gonna just try to dry them up with towels, as you can see. Then I proceeded with painting them outside. Now, this is actually outdoors. It's really hard to paint them indoors because of the smell of the paint. But if you have like a garage or like a barn that is covered, that would be perfect, as you will not have the particles from the air. So as you can see here, I chose a time of the day where the air was less, so that there will be no dust particles flying around the atmosphere. So this was done on the morning. The thing that you need to take into consideration or to be really careful with is that you should not overspray, like gentle strokes, gentle big strokes, as you can see here, like what we're doing. And your distance on what you're painting also will matter to avoid overspraying. So what we're using here to paint is a purple colored paint. This is a rust-oleum paint. The rust-oleum paint that we used here is both a primer and is also the matte finish. However, I was planning here to finish this with a semi-gloss clear coat in order to protect the color. So painting that metal, the metal parts are actually easy. The problem is with the plastics, because the paint is not sticking that much to the plastic. However, we're lucky that the front plastic panel that we have here is finished in matte. So same concept, avoid overspraying and huge strokes in order to properly coat the sides and also the front side. Just take note, guys, of your distance always when doing spray painting, as that can make or break the quality of the paint. I mean the finish of how the paint sticks. So this is, sorry for the shaky camera, but this is the quality or the sample paint job. So as you can see, it really turned out nice, but I did not avoid some overspray. Having some overspray on some parts, However, we fixed those later up with some clear paint so it evened out properly. So with that, that stood for like an hour outside. It's hot in here, so probably based on your temperature. The next thing we did was we went inside and we worked on the front panel connector. So here we were trying to remove the plastic parts. We're trying to separate the PCB from the plastic enclosure so that we can paint the plastic enclosure up front. So guys, it's actually really useful to do a video once you're doing a disassembly so that you can remember how you disassembled it and put it back with a reference video in case you forget. So here we're gonna try to again do another coating for the clear coat. So this is a semi-gloss clear coat. So we want to do this because we want to have some protection, an extra layer of protection on the paint. Okay. Before we did that, we did the other side of this one. Just be careful guys, okay? The surface where you're painting on should also be clean because dust from the downside or dust from the floor can hit back on your or go back up to what you're painting, so it also needs to be clean. So just a thin layer of glossy coat guys for the clear one. So as you can see, the clear paint is less viscous than the purple one. Same concept guys, avoid overspraying as this can still turn out ugly even if it's a clear paint. And take note of your surroundings when doing this paint job. Okay, so when we were letting that dry, we are now masking some parts of the front panel like the switches that we don't want to paint on. So we are using a very small cutter and some painter's tape. If you have painter's tape, use that, but here in this case I'm just using a normal masking tape to mask off those parts and cut those. Also there's a tweezer. Guys, it's better to do a good job on masking because it can turn out very unprofessional if you messed up your masking. So you need to properly mask the things that you want to mask so that the paint won't go over it. Okay, so as you can see, takes some time to get used to. However, with a little bit of practice and perseverance, you can do the masking properly. So I'm using the tweezer to properly jam the paper in and then finally do the cut. Okay, so second time around. So there guys, as you can see, it's properly masked now and it's ready for painting. Next is we're gonna go outside and check and see what happened to our case. So we did the clear application on the other one. So here, I'm pretty satisfied with what has happened there. Also on the other one, so we're just letting it dry a little bit more, because there's some oversprays and the oversprays aren't dried. So I did some overspray on some parts, like 2 parts. So we're gonna move it a bit to avoid the dust particles. Next is I want to paint this top part of the case. So we readied a box because it was already afternoon and there was some wind, so it's carrying some particles, some insects, some dust, and we don't want that on our paint, of course. So what you can do is paint it first and then you can put it inside the box to dry up, and also to avoid the air part or the dust particles that the air is carrying. So after having or finally checking if everything dried up, we tried to assemble the case. As you can see, I have everything on the side table. It's not that organized, but I keep the screws properly. I kept them properly with labels, masking tape labels, and we attached the front panel that we removed earlier. So you just need to align the holes where the rivets were. Yeah. So here guys, the rivets color is silver once you pop them on. So it's simply putting it on and letting the rivet gun do its work. Okay, so that's the first rivet, as you can see. So next is we're gonna be doing the rivets on every hole. By the way guys, I'm gonna still paint these silver rivets for them to be colored purple as well, as they don't align with any of our color, anything with the color scheme that we're going for. Also guys, safety first, always wear protective sunglasses or face masks in order to protect your eyes, as the rivets eject the excess part on the other side of the rivet gun, so that might be a point of accident, so be careful with that. So guys, for me, in the thought process of modifying this case was that I don't want the structural integrity of the case to get compromised with the mod, but I was successful in removing the hard drive base from the front to make it look a little bit modern. I'm not really a fan of the PSU covers, so this is perfect for me as per what I'm doing. After everything that, we proceeded with painting the feet. So this is plastic, guys. So as I've said earlier, painting plastic was a challenge because the paint wasn't sticking to it. So probably I should have sandpapered it with a fine grit sandpaper, probably a 200 grit. However, this wasn't finished glossy at all as well, the feet of the case. So yeah, just our luck. After that, while we were letting that dry, we proceeded with removing, or actually I had two water blocks. One was for an 11th gen series and another one is for this AM4 socket. So I'm not really sure yet which one I'm gonna use, but since I painted both of them, I'm gonna show you the AM4. So what I'm gonna paint is the bracket. So that black part, and yeah, so here is the other bracket as I've shown you that we are painting. So this is the front panel and the back IO plate. The first one is the bracket for the reservoir, water reservoir. Okay, so same concept, don't overspray guys, but spray in a proper direction and distance so that you can cover evenly. So yeah, so next will be part 3 guys. So like if you like this video and subscribe for us to have content such as this one, and see you on the next part of our EVA project.